Do I have to be on social media to grow my coaching business? This is the question I'm going to address today, inspired by a conversation I had with one of my clients this week. So we're going to be diving into, do you need social media? How can you approach it if you don't feel like you want it to be a main part of your strategy, and what to do instead?
Hello and welcome to the Life First Coaching Business Podcast. I'm your host, Leonie, and I'm all about helping new coaches like you create life first businesses you love by building out the key foundations you need for an easeful and joyful business, where you get to make an impact doing what lights you up and helping others. We talk about the strategies, the systems, and the mindset you need to make your coaching business work for you. So let's dive in.
Hello, welcome to this episode where I'm going to be diving into how to approach social media in your business, or different ways to approach social media in your business if you are not keen on making it a huge part of your strategy, or maybe even if you don't want to be on social media whatsoever. And that is totally okay. Social media is just one option when it comes to marketing your coaching. And while I believe there are a lot of pros of having a presence on social media, and I think it's an amazing opportunity to be able to connect with people and engage with people and grow your community, it doesn't have to be there. It doesn't have to be a part of your strategy. There are lots of other ways to grow your coaching business, and let's dive into some of those today. So to start with, I want to acknowledge that this is a common feeling, particularly for coaches who are very much about the deep conversations. I'm like that as well. Like if I meet someone new, I just want to go straight into a deep and meaningful conversation. Small talk is not my favorite thing whatsoever. And sometimes social media can feel like the small talk of the internet world. And I totally get why it feels uncomfortable for a lot of coaches to be putting themselves out there, particularly on video and talking, for anyone to see. And that can be quite confronting. But the first thing I would say is, if you're feeling like that, spending a bit of time digging into where that's coming from, and is it something that's a limiting belief for you, that you hate it and that you don't want to do it, and maybe it's something that you can overcome with some mindset shifts and actually learn to embrace and learn to enjoy in your coaching business, rather than just dismissing it straight away. Because a lot of things, if we've never done them before, they can feel very uncomfortable, and therefore we do think, I just don't want to do that. But maybe with some digging and with a plan to think, okay, well, I'll take some incremental steps to get to this point, that might shift. So definitely do a bit of work to dig into that if you're having some of those thoughts. But let's go into my take on this. So as I've said already, I do believe social media is a powerful tool, but it's not a requirement. It is something that I think it's definitely worth looking at in a positive way, rather than the negative of, this is going to suck all my time and this is going to feel uncomfortable. And I actually think, how can I strategically use this in a way that feels aligned to me, so that I can reach my ideal client, so that I can help my ideal client, and I can make a bigger impact and support more people. So that mindset shift can really change the way you approach it. But in terms of how social media sits in your overall marketing strategy for your business, there's a myriad of different ways you can look at it. You could have it as a small part, as a big part, or have it not playing a part whatsoever. And that is completely up to you. And that's the beauty of building a life first business. You get to design it however you want. There's no must-haves in terms of tactics. What you must have is the solid foundations, the right strategy to know how to take people on a journey from complete stranger to ready to buy from you. Whichever platforms, whichever tactics you're using for that process, that underlying strategy won't change. And that's the thing you want to get really, really clear on. And then it's up to you how you want to do that. And when I say how, I mean what specific tactics you want to use. And I use this terminology a lot of strategy versus tactics. And to give you clarity on that, when I talk about strategy, I'm talking about the messaging, I'm talking about the content of what you're saying to take your ideal clients on that strategic journey from never having heard about you before to learning about you, paying attention to what you're saying, building trust with you and starting to see you as the perfect solution for their problem, and then being ready to buy and ready to work with you. So that strategy doesn't change. And the tactics, when I talk about tactics, that's social media posts, creating videos, making a podcast, writing blog posts, all those things are the tactics. So the strategy and the tactics really sit kind of separately to each other because the content essentially is the same. It's just the way you present it and the way you wrap it up in a bow and put it out into the world, and where you're doing that changes according to the different tactics you're using. And you do not need to be everywhere, but you want to be in the places where you're going to get in front of your ideal clients and the places where they are going to want to spend their time getting to know you and learning about you. So in terms of the strategy around what you're saying and how you're taking your ideal clients on a journey, there's 3 elements you need to be thinking about, that when you marry that with whatever tactics you choose, it's doing 3 things. So you need to have strategy and tactics that get you in front of new leads for your business, new eyeballs on your business who are relevant and who are the right people for your coaching. Then you need to have a way of nurturing them, of building trust and allowing them to get to know you and have all those different touch points and allow them to dive deeper into your world and learn more about you and grow that know, like and trust with you. And then you need to have a way of inviting them into your offer and making sales. So those 3 things, whatever tactics you use, need to cover those 3 things. So let's look at some different options outside of social media for those 3 things. So I'm just going to give you some examples here of different ways. So you could have the strategy of guest podcasting, doing interviews on other people's podcasts to get your business in front of other people's audiences and growing and finding new leads for your business. Now, obviously, during that interview that you'd be giving on their podcast, you'd be doing some of that trust building and that nurture building. And you'd want to have some kind of invitation to invite them into your world for more nurturing. And that could be to sign up to your email list. It could be to listen to your podcast. It could be to watch your masterclass, or it could be to come over and follow you on social media, or a combination of different things. And then you would be nurturing them on your own platform or in your own corner of the internet, again, whether that's on your podcast, whether that's you through blog posts, through content you're sharing on social media, and making sure they're hearing the right things from you in order to see you as an expert, to see you as the solution to their problem, and for them to understand how you help them and what you help them do. And then you'd want to be making invitations. So that could be, again, with calls to actions at the end of podcast episodes, at the end of blog posts, to book a discovery call with you, or a clarity call, or whatever you want to call your free call. Or it could be driving them to a sales page which talks about your offer. And it could be to watching a masterclass and signing up after that. So there's so many different tactics and things you can use. You could be giving workshops to other people's communities or in other spaces, and again, giving those invitations to dive deeper and to work with you from there. You can have a referral system. You can use YouTube videos. You can use a Substack newsletter. You can have email marketing. There's so many different ways that you can go through these 3 phases of getting in front of new people, nurturing them and growing trust, and then making invitations and offers to sell. And if you want to use social media as a big part of that overall vision, then you definitely can. And nowadays, I would approach social media as more of a nurture platform, because it is more difficult nowadays, especially if you're starting a brand new account from scratch. And I know there's a lot of noise online about how to go viral and how to create the perfect reel for virality. And I think everyone is just quite exhausted by that conversation. And it's not that no one manages to do it, but I don't think it's a reliable strategy to think, I'm going to grow my business by going viral on Instagram. I don't think it's a foolproof strategy like other things where you've got a much more control over it and you can plan for it to happen. So reaching out to fellow people in your industry who do something complementary to you and seeing if you can collaborate, seeing if you can offer something to their community, seeing if you can get in front of their audiences, building your own free community so that you can nurture people and inviting them into that. All those things have a lot more certainty around them. And the big place I think people are most likely to get stuck is that visibility piece. And that can happen when they're putting all their eggs in the social media basket and thinking, I'm going to get visible on social media. Whereas seeing that social media space as more of a nurture space and actually having different strategies around the visibility, whether that's borrowing and getting in front of other people's audiences, I think that that's where the wins can really happen more quickly. And also looking at things like SEO and if you have got some longer form content, thinking about ways you can drive traffic to those, not just by using social media, using things like Pinterest and SEO on your website, or sharing those bits of content again on other people's platforms and in other people's audiences, in Facebook groups, all those kinds of things. So there's definitely a place for social media. I think it's a really good space for me personally, is for connection, for having conversations with people. So for all those reasons, I think there's a lot of pros to social media, but I think it's just seeing where it sits in your overall strategy, making sure you've got that underlying foundational messaging piece right, making sure you're very clear on your offer and what you're inviting people into and how you're planning to make that conversion happen, in what context, and then making sure you've covered those 3 steps of getting in front of new leads, nurturing those people, and then having a way to invite them in to take the next step with you and work with you. And wherever you want to do it, that's completely up to you. And try not to spread yourself too thin. Create a strategy that works for you, that feels good, that feels aligned. Think about repurposing. So if you create a small sort of set of really powerful pieces of longer form content, whether those be blog posts or video trainings or audio trainings or podcast episodes, how can you keep repurposing that information to leverage your time better? And instead of feeling like you need to reinvent the wheel all the time, just think of how can I keep sharing this value in different ways and repurposing these same ideas in different ways, so that I can keep my energy and my time focused on the things I really love doing in my business, and leverage the fact that I've got really clear strategy behind my business and I can keep sharing that same message. I say it all the time, but there's a famous saying from Seth Godin, who's one of the most well-known marketers. Marketing is not saying 100 different things, it's saying the same thing 100 times. And it really is. You want to be repeating yourself. You want to be saying the same things and just doing them in slightly different ways. So for example, if you are putting content out on social media, you're not feeling like you're having to completely reinvent the wheel all the time and burning yourself out and putting all your energy into that basket. But I hope that gives you some clarity on how you can step back and think about where social media fits in your strategy. Please don't make it the be all and end all, Please don't focus on marketing tactics before you've got that foundational strategy piece in place. And feel really empowered and excited by the prospect of building your business in a way that feels really good for you, feels aligned for you. And of course, as always, if you want any more support with this, my signature program is where I help you build that foundational strategy piece and then start applying it by creating your marketing system with the right foundations in place. Or if you just want to dig into one aspect of your strategy, whether that's your messaging or your niche or your offer, you can book a one-on-one strategy session as a one-off with me to dive deep onto one of those aspects, get you on the right track so you're moving forward and you've got a clear action plan to dial in that strategy and nail that puzzle piece of your business. And lastly, if you haven't yet got a copy of my one-page business blueprint, that's going to help you map out your entire sales and marketing plan and see what to focus on when. And you can plug into that the things that really align for you when it comes to the tactics that you're thinking about using, but making sure that you're focused on that at the right point in your journey. So head to the show notes for the link to download that. And thank you so much for being here and tuning in. If you found this useful, please share it with another coach who also might find it helpful, and I'll catch you again next week. Oh, before you go, you need to grab yourself a copy of the best and most useful freebie on the internet for coaches. It's my free one-page client attraction blueprint. It takes you through the exact 7 steps you need to go from 0 clients to filling your wait list. And you can map it out all on one page, and there's a mini training that comes with it that walks you through that process. So head to the link in the show notes and grab your copy now.